this first example here, my numerator has a common factors of 5p squared. Whatever's left is going to have the same form as the original, a binomial. So if I take a 5p squared out of 5p cubed, I'm left with just a p. From the second, I take 5 out of 35, leaving a 7, p squared out of p squared, leaving nothing, so p plus 7 is my remaining binomial. Now, more than likely, you're going to have one of these factors removed. So when I take out a p, which I see, it's very likely that p plus 7 is going to be a remaining factor, so I would test that first. If I take out, in order to get a p plus 7 left here, I need to take out a 12p. When I take out a 12 and p from 12p squared, I'm left with p. Does 12 come out of 84? Yes, it does, 7 times. And so here you can see it fits that pattern. P plus 7s, this p cancels with one of those, and there is my answer, 5p divided by 12. And then when I look at any additional domain restrictions, I go back in to see, did I cancel any factors completely? Here and here. I wound up canceling 2 different factors from my denominator. So what value can p not be for this? 0. And what factor can p not be for this? -7. And so notice here that if there are more than one domain restriction, include it as a list. Okay? Because you're just listing the domain restrictions here, the order is not going to matter. Okay? But if it had asked you for the domain in interval notation, then you need to put it in the correct order. All right, the final example here is the last thing that, again, goes consistently with what I had mentioned last chapter. And that is, when you're writing your expressions, you should write everything in standard form. And if you have any non-monomial factors with a negative leading coefficient, factor that out as a common factor. So if I look at this expression right here, my binomial t minus 5, there are no factors, but I'm going to write it in standard form, the variable first. And in my denominator, what I see is it's not written in standard form. So I'm going to rewrite it in standard form and take out the negative for sure, but it also has a common factor of 3. So a -3 out of 15 leaves a -5. Notice I just reorder that, put it at the end. And then a -3 out of -3t leaves a t. And once you're in that form here, you can see that these binomial factors cancel. I get a -1/3. Again, any negatives move up to the numerator of a fraction. And I did cancel a factor completely from my denominator. What value of t would give you a 0 in that factor? 5. And so that would be my restricted value, because it's no longer apparent in the simplified form that t can't be a 5.